Hello and welcome. My name is Parker Nelson, and I'm a horn player based out of Chicago, Illinois, where I play with such groups as the Chicago Horn Consort, the Stonegate Brass Quintet, and most importantly and most dear to my heart, Fifth House Ensemble, for which I've been a member for the past 5 years. It is my absolute honor and privilege to be able to present this performance to you today, which consists of 4 brand new commissioned works for horn, 2 of which are getting their world premiere performances right here at IHS 53. Now, some of you might have been looking at the title for this session and said, I have no idea what the Fresh Ink Festival is. And so I wanted to just give a little context as to what kinds of things go on at the festival and why it's so important to this particular project and performance. So back in 2012, Fifth House Ensemble started the Fresh Ink Festival, which has helped performers, composers, and pre-formed ensembles to envision and launch authentic careers in music, rooted in collaboration, entrepreneurship, and drawing big connections to their communities. This is highlighted by 11 concerts that take place over 14 days, 35 plus entrepreneurship workshops with guest faculty from around the country and around the world, and also 24 brand new works of chamber music that are commissioned specifically for the festival itself. We have composers and performers, like I said, in pre-formed ensembles joining the festival every year, and that always culminates in those brand new works of chamber music. Quite ambitious, but it also gives us as a faculty a chance to have a lot of different conversations with some really cool young composers, which is how this kind of project came to be. So I met the composers that you're going to be hearing today, Karalyn Schubring, Aaron Houston, Sergio Delgado, and Benjamin Beckman as composer participants at the Fresh Ink Festival. And I was so moved by the music that they were writing that I couldn't help but commission them for more. I myself am not an individual who can listen to the Mozart Horn Concerti from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I need something else. I have a lot of musical interests when it comes to, scrolling through my playlists and stuff on my phone. And I wanted to bring some more repertoire into the horn world that was reflective of the kind of music that I was listening to when I was on my way home from my practice session. So essentially bringing the music that I love to the instrument that I love. And these 4 composers were so awesome, definitely stepped up to the challenge, and I appreciate their willingness not only to have conversations with me about what kinds of things were important in the music that I was looking for, but also just being generally really cool people, and I'm glad to call them all my very close friends. So it's been my personal mission to expand the horn repertoire with this brand new music, and I'm so excited to be able to present 4 tiny steps in that process across my career. And today we're going to start with the world premiere performance of Sergio Delgado's Sonatina for Unaccompanied Horn.
Hi, I'm Sergio Delgado from Costa Rica, and it's a pleasure to present the world premiere of my Sonatina for solo horn. This is the first piece for solo horn ever written in my country and probably in Central America, and it was commissioned by Parker Nelson and also dedicated to him. This composition evokes those feelings like loneliness and uncertainty related to the current war situation as a soliloquy. In other words, my own perception through the music. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Aaron Houston. I'm a composer currently based in Baltimore, Maryland, and a lot of my music combines the energetic sound of rock, folk music, and more with my classical training in unexpected ways to create a unique blend of the American vernacular sounds with the classical concert audience. So when Parker first approached me at the end of the Fresh Ink Festival to commission a work for solo French horn based on the sounds of funk and Motown, I was thrilled. This sounded exactly like something that was going to be right up my alley, and I immediately started to think of how I could blend the characteristic sounds of the solo French horn with these driving, groovy rhythms of funk and Motown music. And as I drove back from Wisconsin to Florida thinking about this piece, I started to realize I had no idea what I was getting myself into and how I was going to make these two worlds work together to create a cohesive piece. Initially, I thought I would try to make the composition feel like a morning drive when you're flipping through the radio stations. I wanted to have these snippets of funk and Motown and soul music all interrupting each other and weaving together to create this tapestry of a collage of funk-based music. And as I worked through this piece, I started to realize it was terrible. So I wrestled with it for a few weeks and then finally just decided to scrap it and start all over. And to start, I decided I would sit down with my guitar, I turned on an Earth, Wind & Fire playlist, and I just started to play along with the music to get into the world of this funk and Motown sound. Jam and Toast is the result of that initial jam session and so many more that came after it with myself and this imaginary funk band as I was trying to work out my own ideas. First, kind of providing this idea of a single performer having fun playing off his own riffs, laying down the steady bass groove, and then slowly filling in the gaps with these driving melodies and improvised ideas, and then finally launching into these screaming solos in the upper register. Jam and Toast asks the performer to be a bit of a one-man band, so to speak, and be a little funky and put on a show, even if it's just a jam session with no one watching. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to Parker for not only commissioning this piece, but also championing it and so many other works for solo French horn, and for working with me over the course of several months to get it right and teaching me so much about writing for French horn along the way.
Ever since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated by roundabouts. From an urban planning perspective, roundabouts are a significantly safer and more efficient type of intersection than traffic lights or stop signs. But for me, the best thing about roundabouts, much to the annoyance of any passengers or other drivers on the road, is anyone's ability to go around and around and around the roundabout without any end. There's a beautiful and haunting feeling of simultaneous movement and stasis as your gasoline meter reads lower and lower, and you feel your body perpetually pushed towards one side of the car, even though you're not going anywhere at all. I wrote this piece in the summer of 2020. From a socio-political standpoint, anyone would say that 2020 was an intense year. From the worldwide coronavirus pandemic to a renewed and much-needed racial awakening in America, to ever stronger natural disasters fueled by the onset of global warming and climate change, each day we woke up to another intense news cycle and another tragic story. To paraphrase a sentiment I've heard from so many friends and family members, it felt like we were all trapped in some sort of vicious Groundhog Day. Time was passing, the tide was turning, the sun was rising and setting, but there was no change, there was no progress, and we were dealing with the same issues of ignorance and partisanship and hatred that we have been dealing with for tens, dozens, even hundreds of years and still are today. It's like we were all trapped in this giant and endless and manic roundabout. We were stuck in stasis and we couldn't go anywhere, despite all of the dizzying G-forces and our fuel slowly and inevitably drying up. When Parker Nelson asked me to write an upbeat and poppy piece for horn solo and loop pedal, I never thought that the work I'd write would be so charged with meaning. But the whole piece, built off of fragments of material presented by the horn before the loop pedal cycle begins, seems to almost programmatically echo the sentiments I just talked about. Sure, it's upbeat and yes, it's poppy, but by the end of the piece, it grows into a dark and menacing and manic and despairing looming mass as the loop pedal cycles, perhaps symbolizing all of the vicious cycles we're all caught up in these days, builds and builds until all that's left is just one voice crying out alone. My name is Ben Beckman. This is Roundabout.
Hi, my name is Karalyn Schubring. I am originally from Phoenix, Arizona, but I've been living in Ann Arbor, Michigan for the past 5 years. And I'm going to come back to that later. But first, I want to tell you about how Spring Wandering came to life. Parker Nelson, I met in summer 2017 as a participant in Fresh Ink Festival, which is run every year by members of Fifth House Ensemble, of which Parker is a member. It was an amazing 2 weeks. We got to learn all kinds of things from their workshops and give lots of performances. And it was at this festival that Parker heard a piece of mine called Lua Azul for flute, piano, and Latin percussion. Parker seemed to really enjoy that the piece could be played by any concert musician, but had the effect of sounding like you were a professional jazz musician because everything was already notated out. So he approached me to commission this piece to have a similar idea of a fully notated jazz work that would take up a substantial part of a horn and piano recital. So back to the Arizona and Michigan thing. When I started my studies at the University of Michigan, I had a lot to adjust to in terms of the weather and the seasons, originally being from Arizona where we don't really have that. And the spring when I wrote this piece, I remember in particular being very strange. Not only did it feel like winter was dragging on forever, but there were also these days when suddenly it would be really warm and sunny, and some days it would be snowing and raining. And it got so bad and unpredictable to the point where I started imagining that the spring was this precocious character who didn't care what anyone thought of her and was just going to wander around, taking her sweet time to arrive. all the while having mood swings and outbursts and still not caring what anybody else thought. So hence the title, Spring Wandering. I really love writing for the French horn. I think it's just an incredible instrument with so many capabilities and so many colors that it can make, and I really tried my best to use a full range and variety of them in this piece. You'll also notice that this piece includes percussion, but I meant for it to be portable and also optional, so that way more and more players can incorporate jazz music easily into their traditional recitals, whether or not they have the option of adding a percussionist. But of course, I think it adds a lot to the piece.
Thank you so much for spending part of your day today with me at IHS 53. Another big thank you and congratulations to Sergio, Aaron, Ben, and Karalyn for their awesome works. And if you'd like to find out more, you can look at the links that I have in my IHS materials online, but you can also head over to my website, parkernelsonhorn.com, where you'll find links to all 4 composers that were featured on this performance today, including their contact information. And please contact these composers. Buy this rep, give it to your students, program it on your recitals. That is the entire point of this project, was to give this repertoire back to our horn community, and I look forward to seeing these pieces programmed frequently on recitals and different things coming up very soon. If you have students or are a student yourself who are in college or above, consider coming to Fresh Ink next year. We have applications that usually open in the winter for the next summer, which will be 2022, and I look forward to seeing your applications there. And I also look forward to continuing this conversation long beyond this concert and IHS this summer. Please be in touch. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Thanks.